Something that Jocko Willink, a Navy SEAL, has talked about when you're confronting someone or something that involves multiple people in regards to a certain situation is instead of criticizing them, you ask earnest questions. And I think this is a very wise thing to say and a wise thing to do. And specifically in this topic that we're going to be addressing today is why modern women are going to feel the righteousness, the force of righteousness, that is, from godly men, and how we're going to be able to handle that going forward as righteous men. And modern men also need to hear this message as well, because make no mistake, the modern men will also feel the force of righteousness. And this is not in the sense of an egotistical or I'm better than you or I'm holier than thou kind of way. This is no, we're going to steer the ship in a direction that leads us away from the gigantic iceberg ahead of us. We are not going to go down like the Titanic. We are not going to go down like any other just pathetic ship out there that had everything and gave it away because they didn't want to pay attention to where they were fucking going. Okay? So that's not what we're going to do here on this ship and on this platform. And so the reason that I want to talk about this, and one example that we can provide as asking earnest questions is, look, I've noticed that your behavior when this is happening is this. Is this the outcome that you want? Because that's the outcome that we're going down. And you can give it to them on what they have to say and what they don't have to say. And if they have nothing to say, well, then you just go about your business and be like, all right, man. All right, woman. Peace. Salute you. I'm out. In fact, you don't even have to salute them, of course, like spiritually speaking, or you don't have to give them respect if they don't really have they haven't put in the work to earn that respect, right? They actually aren't showing you appreciation. They actually aren't showing or giving you anything. You know, this is something that a lot of the times people really don't understand is how to walk away from these modern women. A lot of these, like women and men, a lot of times women just want to have that communal feeling because they are communitarians. But a lot of the times the men are just so, like, they're just so stuck in wanting to get the girl that they don't actually look at what she brings to him of value. Because a lot of the times men just want to have that possibility to connect, because men have to work so hard just to attract women. But then here's the kicker, right? This is something that I've noticed within the last year or so. It's once you actually put in the work and you have the experience enough with women to where you know what's going on and you know what's what, all of a sudden you start to realize just how many are not really worth your time. They're not really worth your energy. They're not really worth your resources. Because oftentimes when you do allocate your time, energy, and resources, because women do love conditionally, and that's just a fact of life. You know, there's not going to be any woman that will love me that is just for me. Because if I'm not providing something of value, there's going to be no way that she's going to want to stay around. Right? And that's just the harsh reality of the male world. Whereas females, they don't really understand that, and they don't need to understand, really. They don't need to understand because we're just different people at the end of the day. But it takes a lot for you to realize how and when to approach certain women as well. Like, men get so hung up on approaching women. They get so hung up on getting nervous to talk to women that they don't just talk to them like a normal human being. And at the end of the day, just when you are just speaking the truth, like clearly, concisely, and you are just speaking cold, hard, logistic reality and fact into existence with a woman, what this does is and if you're using verbs as well, this is something I've mentioned in previous videos on semen retention, but if you're using verbs instead of nouns more often than not in your speech with women, but you're speaking in a way that is logistical, you're going to ignite her imagination with an array of emotions, whether you are aware of this or not necessarily. And that is the biggest trick that you have in your back pocket to not be a trick, okay? And anybody that doesn't know what a trick is, like, you got to get out on the streets more, or you got to just be street smart. That is, be street smart. So anyway, when you are able to have this mindset of I'm not a trick, like I may know a few tricks, but I'm not a trick. Right? That's actually something that 50 Cent says in one of his songs. It's like, I know some tricks, but I ain't one. But the point is, when you don't treat yourself like a simp, that's what a trick is basically, is someone that pays for intimacy from a woman. And you're actually probably more often than not some kind of bum that gets walked on. There are going to be a lot of the times where you as a man have to understand what exactly is the outcome that you're looking for when you are talking to these women. And if your outcome is different from hers, or are you going to bend over frontwards or backwards to like get what you want? Or if you're not compatible, you're just going to be able to walk away. That's going to be the real question for you. And if you're not going to be compatible with this woman, and a lot of modern women are not compatible with godly men because they're just very different in their morals. In fact, most modern women don't even have morals, right? Like, again, I cannot tell you how many times in the last few months I've had married women or women already in relationships try to get my attention or try to talk to me or literally stick their ass out in front of me at the gym. And so finally, I had enough recently, and I decided to confront one of them. And so I asked this earnest question, like Jocko Willink has talked about, because I just wanted to see what would happen. Like, how would this person react? And how would I maintain myself, and how would I maintain my frame? Because I have absolutely no intention of doing anything with this woman, but she obviously wants to do something with me. So I just straight up told her, look, I've noticed that you've been noticing me. Is there something that you have to say to me? Because I'm putting it on her for her accountability. I have nothing to say to her. I can see the fucking ring on her finger. And this has happened multiple times. Multiple times with women. They're just, they're just staring at you, gaga eyes. And it's like, I didn't work this hard just to fuck up my life, okay? And I'm not a home wrecker. In fact, I'm wanting to build a home. I'm wanting to build a legacy. If you're not about that, go somewhere else. But that's just part of being a godly person as well. Like Isaiah 4:1 says, there's going to be, I can't remember the verse exactly off the top of my head right now, but it's something along the lines of 7 women will cleave unto one man, asking for reproach of their sins. That's what the term was, or is. Reproach of their sins, just basically to take away their sins. And the 7 women will cleave onto this one man, saying, we will eat our own bread. We will make our own food. Just let us take your name. And this is another important aspect of modern women and why they don't understand, like, why it actually is important for them to have a man to begin with. And why do they actually need a man more than a man needs a woman? It's not in a man's nature to need women, but it is in a woman's nature to need men. And that's something that a lot of, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. I didn't even want to hear that for the longest time because I was that beta, blue-pilled, simp trick like person. I was that person for so long. And it took me so much heartache and so many failures to realize, look, this is not right. Like, this is just not going well. This people-pleasing shit, it's not working. It's not working. And I realized this in my early mid-20s. And I'm 27 now. And when I realized this, I didn't want to change. I didn't want to change because it hurt. In fact, I didn't even want to lead my own life. I didn't want to lead my own life because there was a part of me that had a resistance to leading my own life. And through a lot of healing and meditation, I realized that resistance was really just my nervous system attacking itself. Like, I was designed because I was around narcissists my whole life. I was around, again, it wasn't the worst. It wasn't the worst, really, of upbringings, but it wasn't necessarily the best either. And so when I went through all these things with the narcissist, and when I finally left the narcissist and was gaining this kind of clarity, and then when I was betrayed by these women, it was like one of the worst things about the betrayal was not necessarily that I couldn't trust this woman anymore. It was that I couldn't really trust myself. And that was mind-blowing for me. Because if I can't really trust myself to make these right choices anymore, well then, by golly, how am I supposed to live life? Well, how do I reorient myself to make the proper decisions to actually trust myself? Well, I need to stop treating women like they're this like innocent, pure angel of a being and start seeing the reality that a lot of these modern women are cheaters. A lot of these modern women have a lot of commitment issues because we've been raising them to have this narcissistic personality-like disorder due to social media, due to excessive grass is greener on the other side mentality. And we've been shaming men into being men. We've been shaming men for having standards. We've been shaming men for having preferences. All the while we tell women and praise women and encourage women to have these unrealistic expectations, even when she has nothing to bring to the table except for maybe money and sex. That's all she has to bring to the table. And in fact, there was this one woman that I've wanted to tell recently because she's just not giving up. Like, she is being persistent in trying to pursue me. And I've told her that we're not compatible. I've told her that I don't think that this is going to work out. And because we see each other casually on an every other day basis or so around at the gym, and we go at relatively the same times, it's like it can be kind of awkward. And the reason it's awkward is because for me, it's kind of just like, I don't know what else to tell you other than to write me some kind of essay on what you have to offer besides money and sex. Tell me what you have to offer, because I don't think you have much to offer other than that. There's nothing you can say to me. And in fact, that's what happened with this woman that I said, look, I've noticed you've been noticing me. Is there something you have to say to me? No. There wasn't. There wasn't anything she had to say. And of course, like, not all women are going to be very direct. And it's just like, I'm giving you the opportunity to say what you want to say, because clearly you have something on your mind. Clearly there's something going on. Clearly, like, you're mad. You're mad about the guy that you're with and you want to move to something more. Why don't you just come out and say it? Or how about you just take yourself up by the bootstraps, be a big girl, and be with the person that you've chosen to be with. Like, hello. And for the record, I'm not going to take a monkey brancher ever. And for those that are not aware of monkey branchers are the kinds of women that you need to stay away from the most. Especially as men too. Like, there are modern men that are monkey branchers, I would say, but the term more is in line with women nowadays. But a monkey brancher is someone that just goes from relationship to relationship, or man to man, or woman to woman. And the hookup culture that we have in our society that we're promoting is not good for neither men nor women. Like, there hasn't been, like, I didn't have a lot of one night stands. I had a few in my early 20s. And I say this because I'm confessing my sins right now. And I didn't ever go away from these things thinking like, wow, I feel so fulfilled. Like, it's degenerate. It's absolutely degenerate. And that's one of the reasons why I started to wake up in those early 20s, mid 20s, to the fact that, like, look, this is not working. Because the guy that is the beta trick can still get sex, but he's not going to get the genuine, burning, visceral desire of a godly woman. It's just not going to happen. Like, the godly woman will have self-respect. The godly woman will have dignity. The godly woman will know that her femininity is based off of preservation. And the masculinity of the godly man knows that his value is based off of creation and the ability to create and to put forth his will into existence. So it's just like, these people are not going to have much to say, and they're not going to have anything to show for it either. Like, these modern women are not going to have anything to say, and they're not going to have anything to show for it. Throughout all of their manipulation tactics, throughout all of their hookups, throughout all of these guys that they're just dealing with here and there, they're just not going to have anything to show for it. And it's sad. Like, it's really hard to watch these people just choose to destroy their relationships, to not work on their commitment, like, issues. Like, when I first realized I had trust issues based off of just everything that was going on in my childhood, when I first realized I had trust issues when I was like 22, I was like, okay, I have trust issues. Like, this is definitely something that I need to work on. And later on, I was like, wait a minute. It's not necessarily that I have trust issues. I can trust people very easily. What I have a problem with is not necessarily trust. It's the ability to discern who is going to be able to follow through and who's not. It's placing my trust in the wrong people. So it's not that I can't trust. It's more that I just don't know who to trust correctly. And by now, at this point, I say don't trust anybody but yourself and God. Because at the end of the day, as a man, you have to go to sleep and you have to live your day knowing that you could lose everything you've built today or tomorrow. You could lose everything that you want out of life today or tomorrow. You could lose your woman. You could lose your family. They could get in a car accident. They could get like jumped on the street. You know, something terrible can happen at any time. And yet you have to have the willpower and the ability to recognize that some things are just not in your control, unfortunately. But you can do everything that you can to make sure that you do have that control when the time comes. And that's one of the reasons why you need to optimize yourself as a man or woman to the fullest extent in your physical health, your emotional health, and your spiritual health. But it doesn't necessarily start with the physical. It starts with the spiritual. A lot of the times people think that it starts with the body. It's like, well, it does, but it doesn't. You first have to have the thought of, I'm going to make this decision. I'm going to move my body in this way so that I can get this result. And so this goes back to the outcome thing. What are you hoping to have as the outcome? And this is something modern women need to ask themselves 100%. What is the outcome you're looking for when you are cheating on your man? When you are openly engaging with other men while you're in a relationship? What is your goal, truly, apart from attention? And what happened with this woman when she said, well, I don't really have anything to say. Okay. Then please stop staring. It makes me uncomfortable knowing that you have a boyfriend right over there. It makes me uncomfortable. And I'm not trying to steal nobody's girl. I'm not trying. I could. Don't get me wrong. I could. If I walked up to her and I didn't ask her those specific questions, I guarantee if I wanted to, I could. But this is part of understanding as a man, as a godly man of righteousness. The times when I couldn't do that, the times when I wouldn't have had the ability to take another man's wife or take another man's girlfriend, not knowing, like, if I was immoral, I would be able to do it. Like, it's like people just don't know what it means to have morals nowadays. People don't know what it's like to really set yourself to the standard. And for me, it's just so easy. Like now, like it's so, I mean, it's not easy, but it's easy to know who you are when you have certain kinds of standards to have in place, which is one of the reasons why the Bible was so important, specifically the 10 Commandments. Like it's designed to keep society stable. It's designed to keep society from falling into degeneration and having all of this demonic possession and entities just flying around. Like all of the people that have major trust issues now, all of the people that have commitment issues, all the people that don't have families, all of the people that don't know how to even like do basic things in their house because they were never taught how to use a tool. It's wild. It's so wild to me. And yes, I could have been one of those guys that didn't have morals that could easily take your girl. But I'm not going to do that. because I don't want to be involved with those kinds of spirits. So I rebuke them. And I just go somewhere else. And of course, there are good women out there, right? There are good apples. But it's the amount of good apples or good fruit on the tree are directly correlated with your environment. How many insects are around? Are there any kind of birds that are having their eyes on the fruit? What's kind of how's the soil going? Is there proper sunlight? All of this plays a factor into how your fruits are going to be able to grow in society and in life. And when you are able to actually sit there with yourself as a man and consciously make the decision to go for the good apple, even though it's going to be a very hard climb, but you're going to make that climb, and there's going to be a lot of other apples along the way, but they're not quite your apple. Like, your apple is right there. It's right there. That's the one that you want. Because that's the one that's ripe. That's the one that's fresh. That's the one that doesn't have any bugs on it. Doesn't have any birds that have tried to peck at it. That's the apple that you want. And so you're going to go for it. And modern women are not that apple. They're just not that apple, man. They're just not that apple. They're the apples that have had all that other stuff going on with it. Insects have crawled in and out. Worms are crawling in and out of it. It's starting to look a little bit rotten. Used to look pretty good, but everybody's had a piece of it now. What's the use of it? So yeah, modern woman, if you really want something from me, write me an essay on what you have to offer besides money and sex. And with that being said, peace be with you. Till next time.